Coming up on Bloom, how exploring your DNA can lead to better health.
We all have these patients that come in, and when we look at them, the physical blood work, they should be feeling great. They should be doing great, but they're not.
And we're cooking up a healthy Italian feast. Plus, learn how to eat like you live in the blue zones.
Very simple ingredients, Gayle, like everything in Italy, okay? Look, cheese, pepper, guanciale, and eggs.
We'll have all that and more as Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, starts now. I'm Gayle Guyardo. Welcome to Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging. Your DNA can be a blueprint to better health. And here to kick things off is age management specialist Tammy Oberbreckling. Tammy, it's so good to see you.
You too, Gayle.
So a lot of people don't realize you can get a deep dive into your health just by understanding your DNA.
Exactly. So sometimes we only look at ourselves superficially. And if we take the time, we can dive deep into why we are what we are.
Now, you had me take a test personally because you wanted to make sure that I was on the right hormone replacement therapy, and you wanted to make sure that the therapy was safe for me. So kind of talk me through a little bit about how you handle patients, including me.
So when you came to me, you had concerns because you have a family history of cancer. And a lot of us think that hormones and cancer don't go together, and there's no truth to that. Hormones can be safely done in everyone. So what we did is we not only did blood work, but we dove deep into a 24-hour urinalysis of all your hormones, your metabolites, your electrolytes, and everything to see out where you were and where your body was sitting.
So what did you find out after you analyzed, these panels?
And we've gone through a couple. When we first came to me, you were worried about hair. Your hair was thinning, and we realized that your thyroid wasn't quite in balance. So we made those changes, and you reported an immediate improvement. And then we started on hormones, and we wanted to start cautiously. And so we started with a sublingual or dissolvable form of hormones. And then when we followed that up, we realized you weren't getting therapeutic levels, but most of it was spilling out into the urine. And so we were able to make those adjustments to get you to where you needed to be.
Now, why is this so important for you as a healthcare provider to do this with your patients?
We all have these patients that come in, and when we look at them, the physical blood work, they should be feeling great. They should be doing great, but they're not. And you're like, okay, what is that? So if we can look deeper and kind of figure out who they are and how they're reacting to what we give them, then we can fix it. And then that's rewarding for us.
Yeah, I want to circle back especially to the thyroid issues. I mean, all of it has been a game changer for me, but so many people struggle with thyroid issues and they don't even realize it. And for me, I was just being, blanket prescription of, medicating, and it just kept going up and up and up, and the medication itself started making me ill. So that's when I came to you, and you ended up realizing through this deep dive that just blank medication wouldn't work, that my thyroid medication needed to be compounded, and nobody had really figured that out up to that point.
So there's a couple things about that. So when we look at a lab, there's values on there. And people think those are normals, but really they're just a ratio of all the people that have taken the test in a various area. So most lab values aren't our normal or optimal values. And then a lot of times we treat thyroid by just trying to monitor the thyroid stimulating hormone. If that's normal, you're normal. And there's no truth to that. And when we looked at yours, the body makes T4, but it has to convert T4 to T3 for its active form. So with your thyroid supplement, they were just driving the T4 higher and higher, and you were getting the side effects of the medication, but that conversion to T3 wasn't there. So what we did is we just simply stopped that and compounded a medication that gave you the T3 you were lacking and brought that T4 down, and then you found your equilibrium.
Yeah, it's crazy. So is the takeaway message from this, Tammy, that if you keep going and you're getting the blood tests and everything is seemingly okay, you probably, except for you don't feel okay, you're going to need a deeper dive. You're going to need to go to a specialist. It's going to take the time to research this in different avenues.
Correct. And even in myself, I was feeling fine on my hormones, but I was curious. So I did the deeper dive to see, am I doing anything that's negative to my body? And I was reassured, no, that my hormones that are taking are helping my body, and I didn't have any of the negative metabolites or any of the risks. So then my own anxiety about what I was doing and treating myself relaxed. So it works both ways. So for anyone who just really wants to know, or somebody that's like, hey, I'm trying everything, but I'm still not what I think I should be.
So that's where the deeper dive comes in. Now, I used, I've done several tests with you. What exact test did I do when I did the urine screening?
So what we were looking at is you really wanted to stick with a different form of hormones than something more invasive like pellets or injectable. So we were trying to find how those hormones were working in your body. And though you were feeling better and your blood levels were coming up, we were able to see that no, you were swallowing most of them and that the body was breaking them down. When the body breaks a hormone down, it has a risk of breaking it into negative metabolites. And when that happens, then you elevate that risk of developing disease from them. So seeing that, we were able to quickly switch your treatment to something that was safer for you.
Yeah, and when you get on this treatment safely, and if anybody out there considering hormone replacement therapy, you want to make sure that you're doing it in a safe way, because the health benefits from it really outweigh the risks. If you can avoid the risk and you can do it safely, I mean, the benefits from it are just a game changer.
And we're all different. So if we try to fit everybody into one treatment modality, it doesn't work. The same treatment that I gave you initially, if I gave it to someone else, may have been fine, but your body needed a little different treatment than we started with.
All right, Tammy, well, I really appreciate you breaking it down, because I think it'll help people, because there are a lot of people that are being told everything's fine, you're normal, but if your gut instinct is saying something's still off, this is why you got to do your own due diligence. So thank you so much, Tammy.
You're welcome. Anytime.
All right, we're going to share Tammy's advice on BloomTampaBay.com. And when we come back, we're diving into Italian DNA with top Italian chef Antonio Casamento. We'll be right back. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, saving lives through early detection. Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today. Understanding our DNA can unlock secrets about our health, and that includes the foods we eat. Joining me now with a look into Italian DNA and heritage is Becca Fino's Antonio Casamento. Antonio, it is so great to see you.
Always happy to be here with you.
So we always, if you go to Italy, you walk around and everybody is thin and trim, and yet we can still eat our pasta and enjoy all the foods. It's all about the preparation.
Moreover, is also thanks to the biodiversity that we have in Italy. For instance, sorry for the French, they only have 200 grapevines. In Italy, we got 1,800.
1,800.
We have something like 85,000 different animal species. Follows, I believe, China with 20,000.
So how, because Italy, parts of Italy are in the blue zone, where the types of foods that we have.
Actually, that belongs to Sardinia. There are, I think, about 9, 10 of them throughout the world.
Right.
And that belongs to Sardinia, where all they do is eat and drink.
I love it, I love it. And you import a lot of the foods that you serve at your restaurant locally from Italy.
And for whatever else I cannot sort or is up to our standards, we make in the house.
Oh, that's
like our
beautiful.
guanciale, some of the cheeses, and whatever else we can.
All right, so what are we putting together today?
Well, pretty much this is from Lazio. Although we are a Tuscan restaurant,
right.
we pretty much give people an overview of what Italian is, as in the richness, as I was saying before, of our biodiversity. So pretty much we're gonna have our guanciale that we're gonna render. Okay. Very simple ingredients, Gayle, like everything in Italy. Okay. Look, cheese, pepper, guanciale, and eggs.
Okay.
That's it.
And what is guanciale?
Guanciale basically is the pork jowl
Okay.
that is rendered into a bacon pancetta, so to speak.
Okay.
Okay. All right. As soon as we got
And
our,
if you can't source this, would you just put bacon?
you could.
Okay. All right. I know you don't at your
Don't-
restaurant.
Don't tell Antonio. But,
All right, I will not
you
tell
know.
Antonio. That's our secret, viewers. All right.
Okay. Now in an extra minute, this, see, gonna release some of the nice and juicy oils. Now, let me do this since, of course, I forgot pretty much everything today.
That's okay. We can improvise here on the Bloom set.
Of course, we got our pasta already going, and
Okay.
in this case, traditionally you do bucatini, which is still from Lazio, but we adopt a short pasta, which is made bronze dyed. So it's
Okay.
a special dye that compared to the pasta porosity, therefore absorb the juice.
Nice. And you say it's very important to serve your pasta when it comes to being able to digest it a little on the al dente side.
Always, always. Your body digests it way easier that way.
Okay, so al dente is like, don't overcook it. You don't want it mushy. You want it not on the hard side, but somewhere between a little bit firmer and too cooked.
Okay, rule of thumb, because
Okay,
of
rule
the
of thumb.
manufacturers, they make it difficult for you.
All right.
For instance, a different brand
Right.
put different minutes. Rule of thumb, half of the time,
Okay.
or whatever they state.
Okay.
Because remember, guys, pasta always gotta go into the sauce,
All right.
no vice versa.
Okay. Oh, there's a guy. An Italian
All
tip
right.
for the day.
Now,
All right.
to preserve the crispiness, we just set these aside for a quick second.
All right.
Meanwhile, we work our magic with the pasta.
All right.
Voila. Let's do this.
And you do a lot of tableside cooking at Beccafino's.
Not as many as I would like, but
Okay.
unfortunately it's me, myself, and I, so.
Yeah.
Okay. And remember, we also always use some of the pasta water.
Okay.
Okay. And as you can see, the gluten already start forming, emulsify with the oils that we just rendered. Okay. Guys, you don't need no cream, no nothing whatsoever.
Okay.
This is basically just egg worked out, actually egg yolk,
Okay.
worked out with cheese,
Okay.
which in this case is pecorino romano, and our pasta water.
Okay.
As
That's
simple
it.
as that. Yep.
Keep
no
it
cheating,
simple.
guys. No cream.
No
No
nothing.
peas. I heard horror stories. Onions, for Pete's sake.
Oh, this
So,
is amazing.
With a little love and patience, you'll pretty soon find out that it gets creamy as well.
Okay, so you just have to keep stirring it, and eventually it'll thicken up.
Perfecto.
You know, you're making me think of my late Nana Katie. She would always cook with egg, and she was never using any cream to thicken it up. You don't need that.
Now, although French do, they cheat.
Okay, okay, they cheat.
Yeah.
All
They
right.
take the easy route.
Oh, see, and it's already starting to cook in the egg. Oh, that looks amazing. And you use just simply the egg yolks, the cheese,
Correct.
a little bit of, and the water from
And the water from the
okay.
pasta.
Okay, that's it.
See? Check it
And
out.
look how it's coming together. That's beautiful.
Look, nice and creamy.
All right, and then-
now, we happen to have a beautiful dish.
Okay.
I don't know if they're gonna work. We're gonna scatter.
Oh my
this
goodness.
beauty over here.
This looks amazing.
All right. And, oopala. Well, we can do like this.
All right, we're just gonna add it in.
Yep. Our
Antonio,
bacon, right? We said bacon.
This looks amazing. While he finishes plating, I want to urge you to log on to bloomtampabay.com to watch us put this all together. And we will be back, look at this, with more Bloom right after this. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, saving lives through early detection. Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today.
The following portion of Bloom is sponsored by St. Luke's Cataract and Laser Institute.
Welcome back. St. Luke's Cataract and Laser Institute has a long-standing reputation for cataract surgery, offering the most advanced high-technology lenses, including the light adjustable lens. Joining me now from St. Luke's to share more about the benefits of high-tech lenses is cataract surgeon Dr. Brandon Rodriguez. Dr. Rodriguez, thank you so much for joining us today.
Appreciate that, Gayle. Thank you for having me.
So, Dr. Rodriguez, can you start by explaining what high-technology lenses are and how they offer a difference from the monofocal lenses used in cataract surgery?
Certainly. So a high-technology intraocular lens is a lens that we implant during cataract surgery. What we do is we're removing the natural lens of the eye that has turned into that cataract and now implanting this one to help improve the vision. Now, these lenses can correct nearsightedness, farsightedness, and astigmatism. Some more important things that it can correct are things like presbyopia. And we all know what presbyopia is. It's that favorite time of year when we start turning our 40s and our 50s, and we're sitting at that restaurant, and unfortunately we're just not able to see properly. And of course, what do? We take out those infamous cheaters, we put them on, or we use a big flashlight and just shine a light to illuminate that menu for us.
It sounds like we've gone out to dinner all together before. That's me. So, doctor, how are high technology lenses, specifically the light adjustable lens, customizable for patients?
So there's different types of lenses out there when we talk about high technology intraocular lenses. There's ones that correct astigmatism. Those are called toric lenses. Astigmatism is normal. It's not a disease, right? It's actually a lens that is the natural curvature to the front of the eye. So that's normal. There's other lenses like the light adjustable lens that can correct nearsightedness and farsightedness as well. Now that lens is extremely customizable. It is the epitome of customization because we're taking this lens and planting it into your eye and using UV light to change the shape of that lens. And by changing the shape of that lens, we're able to sharpen up that distance vision as well as that near vision and give you the vision that you're really wanting to accomplish after surgery.
This is really incredible. How does lifestyle come into play?
So lifestyle is actually quite important, all right? And there's a lot of different factors we take into consideration during this process. Things like whether or not you are, your daily activities, your hobbies, your career. For instance, we live in Tampa Bay. We're blessed to have beautiful weather all year round. If you're a boater, you're outdoors on the water, heading out into the bay, out into Emma Key, you obviously want great distance vision. So something like correcting with a light adjustable lens can offer that to you. But let's say you're a pilot. All right, some of these lenses can actually cause glare issues, all right, like a multifocal lens. You don't want to put those lenses in a pilot, all right? You want them to have the best quality distance vision. Maybe they just need an astigmatism correcting lens during that process. But in the end, the lens that is chosen for that patient is just specific to their visual goals and what they are doing on a daily basis.
So who's a candidate for these lenses?
So, unfortunately, not everyone is a candidate for this lens, all right? There's a lot of different things that are very common out in the community. Macular degeneration, diabetic changes, glaucoma, those patients, not the best candidate. For some individuals, they like wearing glasses, all right? It's part of their persona. It's how they identify themselves. They've been wearing it for their entire life, so they want to get back into glasses afterwards. A monofocal lens would do that for them. Then, of course, you have patients that have had LASIK. 15, 20 years ago when I was first operating, I didn't have a choice for these patients. They got a monofocal lens, it gave them one focal point, and they wore glasses all the time afterwards. Fast forward 15, 20 years, now I have the light adjustable lens, and now these patients are able to get back out of glasses again.
That is fantastic. Well, this is really exciting in the world of vision. Dr. Rodriguez, I so appreciate you coming on Bloom and sharing it with our viewers.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
And for more information, you can visit stlukeseye.com or call 888-308-3009. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this.
The preceding portion of Bloom was sponsored by St. Luke's Cataract and Laser Institute.
The intersection of DNA and faith is part of the human experience that bridges the realms of science, spirituality, and belief systems. Here to share how to lean on faith to achieve mental wellness is mental health educator and founder of Faith Therapy, Marilyn Shaw. Marilyn, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So for many of us, faith is part of the human experience.
Yes, it is the actual cornerstone for so many of our lives. It's an opportunity for people to lean into their faith. For me, it's Christian faith. For others, to recognize that you may have challenges not only physically, but your mental health is so much more important, as well as your spiritual health.
So I want to read a statistic that I found to be quite alarming. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, more than 1 in 5 women in the United States experience a mental health condition in the past year, like depression and anxiety.
Yes, it's so true. Unfortunately, while there is this huge boom in conversation around paying attention to our mental health, you'll recognize the statistics show that so many women are being impacted by anxiety or depression by their lived experiences.
So tell me a little bit about your story.
So I was a young college student student, newly married, working, and as a millennial, the hustle culture was at its prime when I experienced a mental breakdown. And it took me by surprise as a woman of faith. I'm like, what do I do next? How do I navigate this process? And I kind of felt like I knew I needed professional help, but I wasn't sure where to turn. Well, that's when my journey of going to therapy started. I started sharing with other women, and they came to me in confidence saying, you know what, I experienced something like this too, but didn't know what to do. So from there, Faith Therapy was born. We started building communities, supporting women around not only just their faith, but as well as prioritizing their mental wellness.
Now, I know when we talk about faith, for a lot of people that might be a turnoff, or maybe they just simply don't understand. So there's so many misnomers, I think, around, you know, a belief system. And again, everyone's belief system doesn't have to be the same. Like you, I share a belief system in Christianity, but can you talk to me about how it works outside of the brick and mortar of a church?
Yes. So for me, faith is mental wellness. So at the cornerstone of that, the Bible talks about how faith is a substance of things hoped for, but there isn't any evidence. It's a supernatural experience for people to lean into their faith, to recognize I am facing this challenge. However, God is greater and can assist me to overcome said challenge. And most of the time, people, they have their faith, but then don't recognize how their mental health can play a part into it. So that's where the belief comes for faith is mental wellness. If you believe that you can overcome, it is possible. But yet, if you're denying the fact that depression is real and anxiety may be real, it can be challenging for you to experience the fullness of faith in your life.
You know, I've just found on a personal level, and you almost have to live it. And it's not
Yes.
something that you can, like a light switch that happens overnight. But the times in my life that I've maybe like stepped away from the path of faith is when I really go down into the depths of darkness and I don't see a way out. But staying, if you bring that coal of fire back in to illuminate with everything else, it does carry you through. It's really hard to explain to people how. So how do you explain it?
You know, for some women, that's when we meet. It's at their lowest point. It's at a time in their life where they're completely burned out. I mean, statistics show also that there are so many people who are passionate about something at some point in their life, but now they've experienced burnout. So for me, I come in by showing to them not only the love of God, but the resources that are available. And sometimes it may be challenging. You know, for some women, like, I hear what you're saying, but this is what's in front of me. But it's a matter of building support. Building, I call it a wellness squad that can support you on your journey. You may have your faith community, you may have your friends and family, but now add to that support system your therapist that can actually give you practical tools to work through your process. And I say it's time then your faith will begin to bloom.
Yeah, it's true. And I
Yeah.
think, you know, as you're walking through the dark times, you know, it might not always grow light when you want it to, but if you keep the faith,
Yes.
eventually you step out of it and you can look back and realize how leaning on your faith really did help guide you to where you are today.
Yes, and you're able to help others. They're able to see, I saw what Marilyn went through. I saw that how her life was, you know, up and down, busy, stressful, but now I can see the fruits of her consistency by leaning into her faith as well as prioritizing the time of going to therapy.
Well, it's really, really a fascinating mission that you're on, and I
Yes.
think it's super cool, and I'm glad it's being braced here in Tampa Bay and beyond. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and we're going to share Marilyn's story on bloomtampabay.com. And up next, longtime restaurateur Pat Icavella is giving us a taste of Italy and sharing the history behind some delicious Italian foods. We'll be right back. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging. We begin where your checkup ends. Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today. Welcome back to Bloom. Tampa's rich Italian community boasts a long heritage and tradition, many created inside the century-old Italian club. Here putting together an Italian feast is a man who spent some time in that kitchen, longtime restaurateur and executive chef, Pat Icavella. Pat, it is so good to see you. I know you owned one of the very first pizza and Italian restaurants in downtown Tampa. You've been cooking in the,
1982.
I know. I was there. That
Yeah.
was the
It was-
happening spot.
There was no life downtown, if you remember.
Yeah, I do.
The only thing open during the day was, Burger King, McDonald's, the jeweler, the shoe shop,
And you.
Moss Brothers, Wolf
Yes.
Brothers. But at 6 o'clock, everybody left. So when we came in, we developed a nice clientele. Husband, wife working downtown, husband or wife for meet me for dinner, meet me for drinks, stayed at the attorney's office every Thursday night, their place to go. It was when people came and took the law exam twice a year in October and I think in May. All them kids packed downtown. And obviously Thursday night, they're all done with that. They're all drinking,
I
eating.
love it.
Fun
Yeah,
times.
it was iconic. It was the place to be. So what are we making today, Pat?
All right, so we're going to do a few things. First thing we're going to do is, it's called Sicilian eggplant. And just a little bit of olive oil.
All right.
We're going to, got some fresh garlic here.
Okay.
Just that. And this is scallions, and these are the blossoms of the scallion.
And you picked those from your
I
garden.
just picked these today from my garden.
That's beautiful.
So, and we're just going to release those in there. And you can smell it already.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Now this is eggplant that I chopped up.
Okay.
I put it in the oven, so there's no oil, no nothing.
Okay.
And we're just going to throw it in there. And so it's going to cook up for a few minutes. And then we have a couple lengths of sausage that we already cooked.
Any specific type of sausage?
Well, Italian sausage.
Okay.
And for this dish, I don't use hot because we got these little guys right here that I picked in my garden today.
Oh my gosh, you have quite the garden. I got to come see this
I do.
garden. Yeah.
And so to knock it up a notch, we're just going to cut a couple of these up.
Turn up the heat.
Oh, yeah. That's part of the Italian cooking is you got to have different levels of heat.
I love it.
And then we made the sauce earlier.
And what region is this dish typically found in Italy? Because I know you travel to Italy a lot.
So this is a combination of a few different things. So it could be a play on Napoli,
Okay.
Naples area, okay? And then I say Sicilian eggplant because in the restaurant that's what we called it, and it was very popular with a lot of people. It was an appetizer that people later on said, I want that for dinner.
Oh yeah, this is good stuff.
There's enough.
I love it.
So it's going to just get happy there for a minute, and we're going to go. That's it. Now, obviously, we're in Florida. Tomatoes are in full bloom.
Yes, I love it. We gotta get the show title in there.
So these are Ruskins. I mean,
Okay.
there's just, you can just smell the tomato through there. So we're going to make a little salad.
And you say stick to what's farm fresh.
Absolutely. Speaking of, our friends at Les Root,
Okay.
here's, we picked up some spices yesterday, some fresh parsley, basil, arugula. So,
And
yeah.
I need to thank you. We've had LaRue on the show a lot. That's a mom and pop urban farm that just opened up in South Tampa, and we're trying to lift up local and give people trying to do all the right things in Tampa Bay some props. And so you shop there. That's where you get the fresh and the best.
So, I mean, I saw her born. They belong, they're my friends, Cynthia and Wayne Schwartz. That's their daughter, and Zach is a Tampa family too, related to the Gonzalez Steve, and so they're just
Good people.
they were trying something that no one done in the urban setting
Yeah.
in a neighborhood.
Yeah. It's
My
cool.
brother lives a block away. You don't live too far.
Right. No, not too far.
And Antonio's place is right down the street. So we got tomatoes
So you got to keep it in the familia.
in the familia.
That's right.
Well, you know what? Those are the people that pay for like the little league. Their kids play there.
Right,
You
right.
know, it doesn't go to New York or it doesn't go to, some corporation overseas.
Right.
That money stays here in
I
the
love-
neighborhood.
I love it. And so,
So-
again, this is another way to discover your heritage and be able to support people like that right in the community. So you have the the mozzarella, the Ruskin tomatoes,
Yep.
and all of the herbs that you picked up from Les Roots
today.
Yeah,
And
beautiful.
so this is, I just happened to be in Ravello last year. My son got married, I told you. So this is from Ravello, and this is Sicilian olive oil, and you can just tell, look at the color.
Beautiful. So now what's going to happen when we're going to take a quick break? What are we going to come back to next?
So when we come back, we're gonna make some eggplant parmesan.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Stick
And we'll
around.
plate up our Sicilian eggplant.
I can't wait. We're going to post all of this, though, for now on bloomtampabay.com, and we'll be right back. We are back with executive chef and longtime restaurateur Pat Icavella, who served up a taste to Italy here in Tampa Bay long before the city's restaurant scene exploded. Pat, thank you so much for being here. We kind of already have things going underway. If you missed part one, no worries. That's already up online on bloomtampabay.com. But what's going on?
All right, so this was our Sicilian eggplant that we made. And it's egg, if you look, there's no oil in here at all. So, you know, everyone's healthy, conscious.
Right.
Very, very little, no. So this was basically in the oven, the eggplant. It was raw. And I put it on parchment paper,
Okay.
cut it up in cubes.
And so this is already pre-cooked.
No, it's raw.
No, okay, that's raw. Okay.
Yeah, so we pre-cooked it
Okay.
in the oven. So
All right.
a lot of times they fry it,
Right.
batter it, and we'll show you that in the eggplant parmesan. So this guy is ready to go.
All right, awesome.
And we'll taste that up in a minute. Now that was our fresh tomato mozzarella salad.
Okay.
And so this is a little something special. This is 50-year-old balsamic vinegar.
And you're just opening up.
We
here
just
on
opened
Bloom.
it for you.
I love it.
And I mean, you could,
It's amazing.
and I mean, just
And enjoying these things, like if you
mean-
are in Italy and you want to bring some back, or
look,
maybe you
look,
want to order, look at this.
it's- You got to almost shake it hard
For it to
get
come
it out
out.
of there. I mean,
Amazing.
just beautiful. That with some of this nice focaccia bread, you'll love yourself. All right, so eggplant parmesan, everybody's favorite. Everybody makes it a little bit different, and we're on the healthy kick today.
Okay.
So we stayed with that healthy kick. So what we did is we had our eggplant,
Okay.
and we put it in the oven at 350
Okay.
for about 10 minutes.
All right.
Peeled it, and then we just.
And what'd you put there? What's
So
the
this
stuffing?
is ricotta,
Okay.
pecorino romano,
Okay.
fresh herbs
Okay.
from Les Roots,
All right.
and some mozzarella. And it's really simple because once it goes in the oven, it's going to melt. So we're doing the
I like
Under.
this. Okay.
and the over
All right.
and over,
It's like a little sweet package.
little pouch.
Uh-huh.
This is our sauce we had already made,
Okay.
and we're just going to coat the bottom of our pan.
I got to remember the coating the bottom of the pan
Well-
part. I usually put it on, and then I put the sauce
So,
over
and you
it.
want to put the folded side
down.
down.
Okay.
So, and I mean, prep time, 30 minutes. Putting it together part,
I'm going to impress
5
the family
minutes.
with this one. They're going to be
this
like,
is easy.
all right.
And I mean, it's so healthy.
It really is, because to your point, you're not using a lot of oils. You're
There's
using
no
all
oils.
fresh ingredients.
None.
And I know through the magic of TV, you've got some that's been cooking away in there, but this is a kind of an Italian feast that we have literally put on here live on Bloom and then during some of the commercial breaks. So there a lot of chopping and prepping of the eggplant had happened, but other than that, you're doing everything real time.
Yeah, this is real time. And like I say, we'll put 4 in here.
Okay?
And really, 2 of those is a meal.
Right.
I mean, that's it.
You don't need much
You
more
don't
than
need
that.
anything else.
And then you have this, the fresh salad that you're serving on the
Yeah,
side,
you
and
don't,
that's
you
it.
don't need anything else. So, yeah, it's a meal. And it's like I say, it's a little pouch. And you flip it upside down. And then we're just going to put a little ladle of sauce.
Okay.
And this is smoked mozzarella.
Oh, I didn't even know there was such a thing. I
Oh,
got to
yeah.
keep my eyes open at the. So get it smoked mozzarella.
They have smoked Gouda, everything's
Everything's smoked.
Everything's smoked.
Okay.
Anyhow, we're going to put this in the oven. 10 minutes.
All right.
Guess what? 10 minutes is up.
And the magic of TV, he actually got one started again not long before we got this cooking segment going. Look at how beautiful those are.
Right?
Yes, absolutely beautiful.
And if we get a plate.
Okay, I got one of those. We've been cooking a lot here.
And so that smoked mozzarella melted really, really nice.
This is like a real working kitchen on Bloom today. When we got a top chef
mean,
like Pat in,
we got-
this is the real deal.
Yeah. So, ooh, how about that mozzarella?
Ooh, that looks good.
Okay, and then we're just gonna.
This looks amazing. And then you got the
And
Sicilian eggplant in there too.
Oh yeah.
That's the appetizer.
So we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna do this. So really, you got your meat, you got your protein, you got your vegetables, you got it all. And then a little of that.
Now, see, this is why it's great to have the Italian DNA. Hey, Pat, thank you so much. I'm
You're
going to
welcome.
take a quick taste of this. This is absolutely amazing. Let me check it out. I got to get the eggplant in. It's so good.
And so light. See how thin that is? So it's not like
It's
you're.
taking me back to your restaurant in the 80s. It's so good.
Yeah, and it calorie-wise, almost non-existent.
It's non-existent, guys. We're going to post this story on BloomTampaBay.com. And before we go to break, it's time for today's Bloom Trivia question. Tiramisu is a modern dessert developed in the Veneto region in the 1970s. What does the name translate to? A treat for you, little pick-me-up, tasty surprise, or layers of delight? We'll have the answer later on Bloom. Welcome back. Your DNA can work for you or against you. Here to help us break the genetic code to work to our advantage is chiropractic physician and acupuncturist Dr. Kathleen Geringer. Dr. Kathleen, it is so great to see you.
It's great to see you too.
So we're talking DNA, and just for the fun of it, since I'm Italian, we're focusing on Italian DNA, but really getting a full look at anyone's DNA is helpful for healthcare providers like yourself.
Yes, and the reason why is that it helps a healthcare provider to customize that particular patient according to their DNA and according to their regular blood chemistry.
And you say by doing so, you can directly connect that to foods.
Absolutely. For example, when we talk about the normal DNA genes versus the Italian DNA genes, there might be a little bit of a difference.
All right, so let's take a look at regular DNA and Italian DNA. My DNA looks a lot like a noodle.
Yes.
But all joking aside, Italians do have a unique DNA because of the geographic location of where Italy is.
Yes, and what we find out through regular blood chemistry, if we check something called homocysteine, we find that the northern and the central part of Europe has a lower risk factor for high homocysteine, whereas Italians have a lot higher risk factor.
And so what does that mean when you say a higher risk factor for what?
For cardiovascular disease, stroke, dementia, and also signs and symptoms of a high homocysteine is like suddenly you have like pins and needles in your extremities, your fingertips, your toe tips, or even like a pale looking skin, and also like hair thinning and all these other symptoms that we think that, oh, it's just normal, but it's not. It's your body trying to tell you something.
So if our bodies are trying to tell us something, having that information ahead of time, is there any way to treat it or to help the patient?
Absolutely. So when we genetically test them, we find a gene, it's called MTHFR. So the real scientific name is called methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase.
Okay,
So
I like the letters better.
yes, much easier. But what it does is that it allows us to know if there's a mutation in that gene.
Okay, and by knowing these things, because I knew you've run extensive blood on me in the past, and I also did a DNA kit through 23andMe, and I really did make a lot of lifestyle changes related to knowing that I'm at higher risk for heart disease, you know, different things like that. I just went ahead and started making lifestyle changes a decade ago to put myself in a better position. So it's not just helpful for, you know, somebody who's in the medical field, but it's also helpful helpful for the patient as well.
Absolutely, because if we know our genetic makeup, if we know our blueprint, we have something called epigenetics. See, we cannot change our DNA. However, we can turn on or off those genetic makeups. For example, if you know that you have that genetic mutation, if you have $5 in your pocket and you walk into a supermarket, you're like, okay, I have this genetic makeup that predisposed me to cardiovascular disease or dementia or any age-related diseases. I'm going to spend it on foods that have a higher folate content.
Very interesting. And then, I just did a food panel test not long ago, and following the advice led to low inflammation and things looked pretty good. So it really does work to your advantage to know your DNA. Dr. Kathleen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me here.
And we're going to share Dr. Kathleen's advice on bloomtampabay.com. And stick around for more Bloom right after this. Welcome back. Before we wrap up today's DNA edition of Bloom, a fun factoid about what is known as a food fusion in Tampa's historic Ybor City. I had the opportunity to go behind the scenes and catch up with a chef at Casa Santo Stefano, sous chef Enzo Pardo, who explained how Cubans, Hispanics, and Italians, all living and working together, created a unique food scene in historic Ybor City.
We have a meld of Latin, being Cuban, let's say, and Italian, Sicilian. All of these different cultures, really, that's what makes Ybor special. That's what makes Tampa special, is that, we kind of embody that melting pot aspect of the United States right here, and it really works.
As an added touch, the Columbia Group hung real pictures on the walls of Casa Santo Stefano to pay homage to the families who settled here in the early 1900s, including my family. The shot you're looking at was taken on my family's dairy farm in Brandon, and here's a closer look at me sitting on my dad's lap. Well, it is time now for today's Bloom trivia question. Tiramisu is a modern dessert developed in the Veneto region in the 1970s. What does the name translate to? A treat for you, little pick-me-up, tasty surprise, or layers of delight? The answer is pick me up or cheer me up. Tiramisu is an iconic Italian dessert that is served at the end of the meal that hopefully cheers you up. Well, thank you so much for tuning into Bloom today. You can catch Bloom anytime by following us on social media. We're on all major platforms, so get a behind-the-scenes look at all of the innovative breakthrough health and wellness conversations and incredible guests that we have right here on Bloom. And don't forget to check out our podcast, The Bloom Health Club. You can catch it live on Facebook and YouTube on Mondays at 2 p.m. We take a deep dive and have extended conversations with some of the top guests that we have right here on Bloom. You can watch our podcast anytime on YouTube or listen on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Well, we hope you'll tune in again on the next Bloom presented by Lifeguard Imaging. Meet the menopausal Marine, Eric Rittmeyer, educating other women about what they need to know. And double certified nutritionist Martha Van Camp shares ways to stave off weight gain during aging. So stay healthy, everyone, and I will see you on the next Bloom. Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today.
Content segments during Bloom were paid for by St. Luke's Cataract and Laser Institute.